On today's show, the NHL Scouting Combine has come and gone, and it's left a trail of rumors in its tracks.
And we continue with our 2025 NHL Draft Rankings. And today, a goalie-friendly show, possibly the top 10 in the draft.
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today is Monday, June 9th, and Pilsy, tell me a joke, funny guy.
Yeah, okay, I got a couple jokes. You heard about the joke about the skunk?
No, what happened?
Nah, don't bother, it stinks.
Oh my. Is that what you would say if the Ottawa Senators had you, 8 of them, just with their notepads, interviewing you as a 17-year-old kid, and just out of nowhere, they're asking you questions about your family, growing up playing hockey, what skills you think you're the best at, what skills you need to improve on, what NHL player you are aspiring to be like, and then just tell me a joke.
Hey, people are making jokes about this, Ross, but I actually like it. You got to have a little character. You got to have a joke in your back pocket. That's when I like to have the skunk joke. It's a good family-friendly joke, very PG. Everybody will understand it. So that's one I would whip out there. But apparently, Ross, John Rodenberg from TSN says it's confirmed Don Boyd did ask prospects to tell a joke unprompted after going 0 for 59. So 59 people didn't have a joke. They got about 4 attempted jokes, and 2 of them made them laugh of the 73 interviewed. We need to find out which 2 players had jokes that made Don Boyd laugh because the Sens will be drafting them.
I was going to say we will know because those will be 2 of the players that the Sens draft.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's a little unorthodox, but I mean, that's just a little easy, quick one. Try to loosen things up, see how guys react. And I mean, if you can't even think of one single joke. Now, I think, Ross, we've been doing a little social experiment, just asking people, hey, do you have a joke for us? Most people these days do not have one quick one-liner joke, Ross, but the amount of Mitch Hedberg that you and I have listened to, we've got a couple in our back pocket. At least.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not the same type of joke that you would expect when someone says, ask me a joke, because it would be like you say, where it's like, hey, ask you a question, and then the answer is kind of funny and rhetorical. Whereas like if they ask me that question, I'd say, I'm sick of following my dreams, man. I just want to ask them where they're going to be, and I'll meet up with them later.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
Right? Just, I haven't slept for 10 years. Because that would be too long.
If I could go back and rewrite all my high school exams, Ross, and I could pick the place I could write them, I would do it at a store because the customer is always right.
I went by a dry cleaner at 3 a.m. The sign said, sorry, we're closed. It's 3 a.m. and you're a dry cleaner. You don't have to say you're sorry. It's not like I'm going to come back at 10 and say, hey, I came in and by 3. You guys are closed. Someone owes me an apology.
Yeah.
Or I order a club sandwich all the time. I'm not even a member, man. I don't know how I get away with it.
See, there you go. It's easy. Ross and I would get drafted by the Sens so quickly. Me at 6'3", 225. And I got a joke ready. Sign me up, Sens.
Shout out Mitch Hedberg, man. What an absolute legend. Those were all Mitch Hedberg jokes that we just pulled out there. But yes, the Senators did ask prospects for their best joke. Other interesting questions that come out of the Scouting Combine. Of course, you can go see all of the notebooks that come out from the scouts, some of whom are going to be on our 2025 mock draft. We've got Stephen Ellis, who's over at Daily Faceoff, Cam Robinson at Elite Prospects. Both of them put out their scouting notepads, and other interesting questions came out. One was from Stephen Ellis here, not the team, doesn't say. This one seems like way worse than Tell Me a Joke. Tell Me a Joke is a fun, like, you know, just getting to know you. Tell me something funny. If you see a $100 bill that's in a pile of dirt and a $20 bill that's sitting on a bench, which do you take? Is that not an easy question?
Well, what's your answer?
$100 bill.
Well, I mean, what kind of dirt is it? Also, you gotta. That could be part of it. But I mean, I think, Ross, realistically, I'd probably go for the clean 20.
No way.
Yeah.
They're going to say you need to get your work boots on.
That's fair, but they'll also say, hey, this is a guy we can get good, cheap, team-friendly deals. He's willing to take a quick, easy 20 rather than grind out for that hundo.
Yeah, they've got these recorded, and during contract negotiations, they just pull that up.
Yeah.
Like, we could give you 5 times the amount of money, but we're going to make you work really hard for it. So why don't you just take this call?
I'm out.
I love that people who clicked on this saying that rumors are swirling in the NHL, and we're just talking about questions. There are some big-time rumors around the NHL, but one more fun question. This one's courtesy of Mark Sheeg from the Hockey Writers. The Rangers gave prospects a 10x10 board that had numbers 1 through 100 on it, and then they would call out a number, and the prospect would have to find it and point at it on the board as fast as possible.
Oh, okay. It's like a word search for numbers, I guess.
Yeah, I don't love that one.
Yeah, well, again, that's
this prospect can count.
Well, that's not counting, Ross.
Well, you have to just know that, like, if it's chronological, you just know that anything higher or closer between 6 and 9 is going to be on the right side. And
I assume the numbers were mixed up. Otherwise, that seems like a weird way to do it. I'm picturing a board with numbers all over the place, not 1 through 100, left to right, top to bottom.
Okay, that actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, so these guys got to be doing their New York Times word game puzzles and things like that.
Side note, my wife does those every day, but doesn't sign in. So, like, is it weird that for me, it's all about the stats?
That's crazy. I'm all about the stats for my Wordle.
She just does it for the love of the game.
Respect. She's taking the clean 20.
She's definitely taking the clean 20. Stephen Ellis also had a wild rumor here. Now, we know Matthew Schaefer is going to be the first defenseman off the board at the NHL draft. A lot of people are saying Radim Mertka is number 2. Jackson Smith could be the second defenseman off the board. But Kashawn Aitchison, who is a defensive teammate with Gabriel Eliasson this season, it seems like Kashawn Aitchison may be the second defenseman off the board for a team that values that toughness and that physicality that he brings.
Yeah, that's certainly interesting, and we'll get to all those players you mentioned in our prospect profiles. But a similar case, Ross, and an emphasized case of that is the enamored NHL teams and scouts with Brady Martin. I mean, this is a guy that was in the 10 to 20 range for most of the year, but now teams in the top 10, in the top 5 are saying, no, this is the kind of piece after watching Tom Wilson and Sam Bennett play in the playoffs. We need to surround our skill guys with this guy, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to have him in our organization. And the hot rumor is that the Utah Mammoth are looking at him being like, we got Cooley, we got Genther, we got Keller, we got all these skill guys that are small. We need to add some beef, some good Ontario grown beef to this lineup. Why not go get farmer boy Brady Martin? So he is going to be drafted high if all these rumors are right.
Yeah, it seems like it's really the X factor of the draft right now is where Brady Martin goes within the top 10 and how that could affect the ripple throughout the next few picks.
He's not making it past Boston at 7. Like either Utah takes him or Philly or Boston takes him. I feel pretty confident saying that.
Wow. We'll see if that's where he goes in our mock draft, which is going to come out next Sunday. The date is finalized. We are through recording 18 of the picks already, and we are at 4.5 hours. Of course, there's going to be timestamps, and it's going to be easy to navigate, but it's going to premiere all day Sunday, pretty much Sunday the 15th. And that way it'll have just about 2 weeks almost of lifetime before the NHL draft with all of our great experts. 9 different experts will be joining us to make picks, and it's their picks. They're going to sell them to us, and we're just going to play the dumb ask questions, don't pretend to know too much, and let them do the work here. So we cannot thank all the great analysts who took the time to be on our mock draft, which again comes out on Sunday. Back to the rumor mill. Could we have the NHL's version of Kevin Durant? Mitch Marner is being connected to the Florida Panthers. Could you imagine the meltdown in Toronto if this were to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but the only thing, Ross, is how in the world would they make that work? Like, you got to assume Sam Bennett's gone. And I don't think that's a move that makes a lot of sense if you're looking to continue to win Stanley Cups, dropping Sam Bennett and bringing in Mitch Marner. Don't get me wrong. Marner puts the points up, but we've seen how valuable Sam Bennett is in the playoffs. We heard that is certainly something that's interesting. And to be cooking up that kind of move while you're in your third Stanley Cup final is insane. But Ross, the Mitch Marner wrinkle that I'm more interested in, we're learning that there apparently was a 3-team trade at the deadline that was proposed between Toronto, Carolina, and Vegas. Toronto would have ended up with Rantanen. Vegas would have ended up with Marner, and Carolina would have got a collection of pieces from both those teams, very similar to the Matt Duchene trade, right? That would have been absolutely insane. So don't think Vegas, the biggest big game hunters in the NHL, aren't in on Mitch Marner as well. And how they would make that work, I have no clue.
Me neither, but it is as spicy can be. We also know the New York Rangers are looking to change up the voodoo in Madison Square Garden after a really disappointing season. And it looks like they have put Keandre Miller on the trade block, according to Cam Robinson. He's a guy we were extremely high on, didn't have the best season last year, but he's big, mobile, can defend well, has already put up a 40-plus point season. Now, it was 3 seasons ago. He went from 43 to 30 to 27. Not necessarily trending in the right direction, but you have to think there's going to be teams that feel like, oh, we can get him back to a top 4 contributing defenseman status.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see a lot of the tools that he has, and you think if you can get him into your system that you can make it work. And New York is going through some major culture changes, it seems like. And if that's a value piece they want to use to try to make that culture shift, so be it. And I think the team's going to be happy with him.
Yeah, he's an RFA right now, no contract. He's from Minnesota. Do you think there could be a move there with Marco Rossi going the other way?
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. Yeah, because Rossi, I think, is as good as gone in Minnesota. It doesn't seem like those two are mutually working out the way they had hoped.
Another RFA who needs a contract. If you're Steve Staios, would you be making calls on either Keandre Miller or Marco Rossi?
I mean, not Marco Rossi. I don't see the fit there. But Miller, I mean, right shot guy.
No, left shot guy, though.
Oh, I thought he was I'm thinking of Braden Schneider. My bad.
He can play the right side a little bit, but he would be on the left.
Yeah, I don't think that's the fit there.
Yeah, he's 25 years old and already has so many NHL games under his belt. I like the player. I just don't know necessarily if it's a fit. So those are the rumors coming out of the Scouting Combine. Again, it's the last time the teams will be in person amongst each other with the NHL draft being decentralized this season. It will just be PR guys who are in Los Angeles running up and making the picks after talking with the teams. Each team will have their own war room in their respective cities. And 2 players who will have their names called in the first round of the draft, I believe, are on today's draft profiles. Coming up next, the best goalie in the draft and potentially the fastest skater. Those conversations are next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. If you ever checked your bank account and wondered, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and buying draft guides to get covered on this draft, it's easy to lose track, but that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center, so you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So stop just managing your money and start building that wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, keep it simple. Use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. And if you want to manage money with your partner, it's smoother than ever with shared and personal accounts, goals, and staying on the same page without all that stress made easy with Monarch Money. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. The Stanley Cup Finals are ongoing, and if you're looking for a place to watch the game that lives and breathes hockey, Glebe Central Pub's the spot for you. It's right in the heart of the Glebe, just steps from Lansdowne, and it's the perfect place to catch every game, every night. It's got great food, great drinks, and even better company. We love the GCP. We're there all the time when we're in Ottawa, and it's more than just a place to catch the game. Something happening every night. Wing night every Monday. Hello. Delicious. Trivia night goes Tuesday. Bring your crew and get into the action. It's open mic night every Wednesday, whether you want to play, sing, or just kick back and listen. Thursdays are all about cheap tacos. And of course, Saturday, live music with no cover ever. And the Red Blacks are back. CFL season's here. Glebe Central Pub's the place to be, not only when the Red Blacks kick off, but when they're in Ottawa. What a spot to pregame, postgame at the GCP. So whether it's playoff hockey, live music, or a night out with friends, make Glebe Central Pub your home base because, as you know, the vibes are free at the GCP. All right, Pilsy. So as we ask you for your comments here today on Locked On Senators, we want to know, how active should the Senators be in the trade market leading up to the draft? Should they be looking at trading 21st overall to either move up, back, or for NHL talent? And what's going on with Claude Giroux as the clock ticks ever so close to the draft? You got to hope that there's a deal done before then. Otherwise, could be a very different looking situation for Steve Staios going in to the summer. Coming in at number 26 on our Locked On Senators NHL Draft Rankings, the top goalie in this class from Prince George in the Western Hockey League, it's Josh Ravensbergen.
Yep. I think anyone that's been following along with the draft has heard Josh Ravensbergen's name as the top guy. I feel like it's the consensus that he will be the first goalie drafted. Where that's going to be remains to be seen, but it doesn't take a genius to look at a 6'5" goalie and think, okay, this guy could have a chance as goaltenders are trending towards the taller side in today's game. And he was an absolute workhorse for the Prince George Cougars. 51 games played. That's the third most in the WHL. Goals against average of 3, save percentage of .901, a record 33-13-4. And then he was their guy in the playoffs. Unfortunately, didn't go their way, though, as he had a 3.6 goals against average and an .896 save percentage, going 2-4 overall. So maybe, Ross, not necessarily the sparkling numbers you would want from a goalie that's going to be drafted likely in the first round, but at the very least, the first goalie off the board. But Ross, there's one number that really sticks out to me here, and that's the big old 0 in shutouts. And it's not like this is a guy that was playing on a bad team. Like, Prince George made the playoffs. They were middle of the pack in their conference in the WHL. And I don't know, 0 shutouts where you're able to totally blank a team. Maybe that's just simple analytics from my simple brain, but that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. There's no doubt about that. But you also look and like the numbers don't necessarily jump off the page either in terms of a .901 save percentage this season. But I think when you're looking at goalies in particular, it's what are they going to be in 6 to 8 years? So you're looking at his top attributes, which to me, watching his highlight reel, a lot of quick lateral movement saves going left to right, post to post, and then having the wherewithal after making a first save to be ready for the rebound shot. There were a few scramble plays where he looked poised, confident, and calm in the net. And then when you add that into the size, of course, you start seeing what elite prospects saw in him, which are shades of Ben Bishop, who Ottawa Senators fans, I was going to say know well, but maybe not well enough, because he just had a slight cup of coffee with the Senators. They got him in a pinch from the St. Louis Blues, and then ultimately moved him to Tampa, where he was a workhorse for a number of years. Josh Ravensbergen is a November birthday, so he was 18 for the better part of the entire year. He's a lefty goalie, which means he catches with his right hand, which is a more unique style for goaltenders. He is also ranked as high as number 18 from our scouts, with Corey Pronman. Elite prospects at 24. We got Bob McKenzie and Scott Wheeler at 28. Craig Button at 29, McKean's at 30, and Locked On NHL Prospect, Sebastian has him at 32, which to me further exemplifies that he will be a first-round pick in this draft. So I'm looking at teams that have multiple picks. Yep. I'm looking at teams that have drafted goalies before, but maybe don't have them as high in their system or at all, like the Nashville Predators. Could that be an option? They've got 2 picks towards the end of the first round, but I would like the Sens to stay away from a goalie, no matter who it is. We were there in 2021 where Wallstead and Casa, those were options. They go still the wrong direction, but they'd go away from a goalie. I feel like if they were going to take one, that probably would have been the year to do it. I don't see a goalie being a fit this early in the draft for Ottawa. I always like, and I know you do too, taking a goalie somewhere in the draft, but I don't think with the way the Senators prospect pool is that a goalie should be on their radar in the first round.
Yeah, I've got my money on him going to Nashville or Columbus with one of their picks. I don't like drafting a goalie high unless it's kind of those generational guys of Wallstead, Askarov, those maybe Spencer Knight. Those are the types of guys maybe you'd go for. I don't get that vibe from Ravensbergen here. I would be, even as a hashtag goalie friendly show, Ross, I would be very disappointed if the Ottawa Senators decided to go with him at 21. So I've got him at 2 stars out of 5. I'm not trying to pile on the kid. I think he's going to be a good goalie. Lots of scouts are interested in him. I think with time and development, he can pan out, but this is not the direction the Ottawa Senators should be going.
And even though Prince George did make the playoffs, like they were giving up a lot defensively. So it's not like the numbers are bad, but he was on an amazing team. I think it also speaks the fact that he did raise the quality of the team. They maybe wouldn't be a playoff team without him. But if a team does draft him, if you're watching this, your team just selected him, what are you getting in Josh Ravensbergen?
Well, the size, you got to start there with goaltending. If a lot of surface area makes it easier to stop pucks. And that's why Elite Prospect talks about it. His play reading makes him look not as impressive because he's not out of position to make those highlight reel diving saves. He's just going to be perfectly square. He's going to be ready. He's going to be good to go. He's really good at getting across for those slot chances. If you look at EP's draft guide, they have a little bar graph kind of with a bunch of different stats, and his cross slot goals saved above 30 here. I don't know what this stat is specifically, but it talks about chance types, and cross slot, he is very effective, whereas behind the net, not so much. And another weak spot they're talking about him is his 5-hole, which for tall goalies, that'll happen. What ends up happening is when you're getting set, your stick hovers a little bit above the ice, just the way you're setting it. And that, if you get some movement on him, the stick's not going to be fully planted on the ice and you could slip it under there. But overall, I think he's a decent goalie, and a team that needs to up their goalie prospects and has multiple picks makes a lot of sense to take him.
Yeah, that's for every 30 minutes. The stats that you're looking at there, usually it's per 60, but they decided to go here with per 30, and that's because they track 10 games with elite prospects in their draft guide. So this gives them a bit more runway to make that each minute count. His high danger save percentage was elite. So you're getting a goalie who's going to battle and make hard saves if you take Josh Ravensberg, who comes in with an average ranking of 27. He's 26th on our Locked On Senators NHL Draft Rankings. You can find all 50 of our profiles available on YouTube. On the other side, a real possibility for the Ottawa Senators at number 25 as we inch ever so close to who we have at 21st overall. This isn't a mock draft, but we're in the range right now where one of these guys could be an Ottawa Senator. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. All right, Pilsy, we are on with our NHL Draft Rankings. I mentioned already the NHL mock draft that we do for our 4th consecutive season will be available this upcoming Sunday with timestamps and everything that you need to know. It is awesome that these great experts provide the insight for us on Locked On Senators. We appreciate them so much. We appreciate you guys for coming back for more each year, which is inspiring us to keep doing it. It's bonus, it's extra, but we absolutely love it, and we cannot thank you guys enough. Coming in at number 25 on our Locked On Senators draft rankings, from the Arizona State Sun Devils, it's Cullen Potter.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear Arizona State, Joey Daccord, put that team on the map. We'll never forget it. But yeah, with the Sun Devils in 35 games, Cullen Potter had 13 goals, 9 assists, good for 22 points, finished a -1. And then with Team USA, U18s in 7 games, he had 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points. But Rossi may be sitting there thinking, okay, 22 points, 35 games, that's okay. Point per game, U18, that's nice. But when you're talking about Cullen Potter, you're not going to gravitate the conversation towards the points he puts up. It's all going into his skating ability. This guy is a very effective skater. When I was watching highlights of him, he's got serious wheels. When he scoops the puck up, he has full confidence. He can get around guys wide and then still cut back to the middle. He wins loose puck race battles. He uses his speed defensively to cut down gaps on opponents transitioning. He's got a nice shot too. And I like it, Ross. He plays with energy. Like you can feel him buzzing out there. And when he's got that speed, it's very impressive.
It's one of the best attributes in the draft, I would say, in terms of one player and just the way that he can buckle around the ice. And he comes by it honestly, too. I mean, his mom was an elite athlete, an elite skater. So when you look at where he could go in the draft, I think where you're starting to get a bit of discussion is that he's not the biggest guy at all. At the NHL Scouting Combine, he came in under 5'10", 5'9.75", 172 pounds. And that to me is what could scare some teams away from him. We did round up for him, 5'10", but there's so much skill that some of our scouts just are undeniably saying this guy is a mid-first round pick. McKean's all the way up at 14th overall. Scott Wheeler at 16th. Bob McKenzie at 20th. Locked On NHL Prospects at 26, Elite Prospects at 30, and then Bob McKenzie at 46, also Corey Pronman at 33. But when you look at the body of work, I also have to acknowledge the moving teams mid-season. He started out with the USN TDP and then jumped in onto the treadmill that was already rolling over at Arizona State. And not only is Arizona State now an NCAA Div 1 school, which they weren't back when Joey Daccord was there. They were an independent for a number of years. And now they're part of the NCHC, which has North Dakota, has Minnesota, has all these elite schools. So the level of competition is higher than it's ever been for Arizona State. So I think that for him, it was a matter of taking some time to get comfortable. And then he did have some of his best games later on in the season, back-to-back 2-goal performances in late February against Western Michigan, another elite school, and Omaha. And then he had a decent tournament as well, was playing over 20 minutes, got the victory in the NCHC tournament against the University of Minnesota Duluth. That's big. They lose to Denver, who ultimately goes on, and they're just an elite team. They lost in the final of the Frozen Four. I just see him as trending up in the right direction, and his under 18s to me was just the cherry on top, that this guy has so much room to grow in terms of his potential. I think he's worth a pick, whether it's 21st to Ottawa or at the very least with a first-round pick in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, the way the game is going, you have to be able to skate just at a general level. So scouts really value guys that are above and beyond skaters like Cullen Potter. I mean, certainly he's no Oliver Moore. Oliver Moore went to the Blackhawks a couple drafts ago, very high pick, but Cullen Potter has similar skating abilities, not quite at that level, and doesn't have the rounded out game that Oliver Moore had. But I think he's done a good job at adjusting to the college game. It takes time. Freshmen, I feel like their first 15 games, they're trying to figure it out. But the second half of the season, EP noted that his defensive game really improved. But one thing he does need to work on, Ross, is sometimes slowing those wheels down a little, because he just jumps into the play, gets going, zips up the ice, and then it's like, oh man, now I don't really know what to do with it, or I kind of left my teammates in the dust and now I'm here on my own. Sometimes you just gotta take it easy, scan the ice for a play, see if there's better options to do a drop pass or to move east-west rather than just going straight north with speed. So that's one thing I think it's going to take Cullen Potter some time to learn, because once he gets to the NHL, he might still be faster than guys, Ross, but you're not getting around a 6'5" shutdown defenseman with ease just because you're faster than him. He's going to make you go wide. He's going to push you up against the boards, or he'll just hit you if you got your head down. So I think Cullen Potter, the transition and how he's going to evolve his game rather than just being a speedster once he goes up competition levels is going to determine how good of a player he can be.
And I mentioned the skating. He comes by it honestly. His mom is a legendary Team USA player.
4-time Olympics. With them,
including the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver, a 4-time world champion, an Olympic gold medalist, 6-time world champion, silver medalist, 2-time silver medalist at the Olympics, and a bronze medal at the Olympics as well. She was a 1-time all-star team player at the Olympics. So she's got the repertoire and the trophies, and she also opened a hockey school, and Cullen clearly a beneficiary of that. How many Sens stars for Cullen Potter?
I gave him 4 stars, Ross, mostly because he brings an attribute that this Senators team, not just their prospect pipeline, desperately needs, which is speed. Apart from Tim Stützle, not a lot of speed in the nation's capital. We got size, we got left shot defensemen, but he brings a different element to this group. I hesitated. I thought about going 4.5, maybe even 5, just because that's how good the speed is. But the rest of the game isn't rounded out enough for me to be fully convinced. But if the Ottawa Senators decided to go with him at 21, I'd be happy about it. At least it would show that they're trying to fill different needs than just their prototypical draft pick.
Perfectly said. It just feels like it would be a breath of fresh air into what the Senators are looking for. Cullen Potter turned 18 in January, and Wheeler points out that it was contested that he went and left the U.S. program to go to the NCAA. People didn't think he was ready. He was inconsistent when he got to ASU and then figured it out towards the end of the season. So to me, he's a prospect that is trending up, up, up. The question is he better suited at center or the wing? But there's plenty of time to figure that out. The fact is you're getting a player that has so much potential, in my opinion, and he was just getting better and more comfortable. And I think he could pop off next season at ASU. All right, Pillsy, more draft profiles are coming. We are inching ever so close, and all of our draft profiles are also available for you on YouTube. Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is...
Got another joke?
No, well, that's what I was going to ask, Ross. I want everybody watching this video comment with your best joke. PG rated. Your best PG rated joke. That narrows down a lot of jokes for a lot of people, but let's hear what you got.
Yeah, I want to hear it as well. And they beat Pillsies. Probably is the answer.
Probably. Yeah, that's fair.
We talked more NHL rumors today. Let's get into some Sens rumors tomorrow. We're going to make a few phone calls, see if we can get the scoops on what's going on with the Ottawa Senators. But Staios and everybody busy ahead of the National Hockey League draft. We're busy here on Locked On Senators, recording the mock draft, doing everything else. So please like and subscribe. You'll know when new videos go live. We are your team every day. Shout out to the everydayers who make us your first listen. Thank you for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. It means a ton to Pillsy and I. Click the thumbs up below while you're here. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.